Welcome back. This is Andrew from Good Space, and I'm joined by Bromwyn Berry from Passive House BB. We are continuing our discussion on the Sacramento Passive House. This video is going to be about the design process. So Bromwyn, why don't you kick it off and tell us what the client's kind of brief was or need, or how did the project begin?
Sure. So I'm fortunate that my clients all know that I only do Passive House, so that's sort of the benchmark, and everything gets added up from there. Okay. They came to me with, a pretty specific brief about, the bedrooms and the rooms that they needed, the space that they wanted. And really, so the architectural style kind of was what evolved out of that. He wanted something more modern, and she likes stuff that's a little bit more traditional.
Okay.
So, we ended up with a kind of a nice hybrid of that.
Okay, so that's really key that they're coming to you wanting Passive House already. So
right.
that kind of there's alignment there. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and then it's kind of regular architectural work, right? Like
absolutely, yeah.
Finding something. Okay, so a Passive House can be any architectural style then?
Absolutely. So I've designed everything from the Eichler style, modern flat roof to, more, complicated stuff. I'm doing a Monterey modernist building. I've done California farmhouse. But this particular house, the Sacramento Passive House, turned into be a kind of a modern craftsman style.
Okay. Great. Well, there should be some images popping up on the screen for you to look at. On the image there, you can see it really looks like it kind of fits in with the neighborhood. How did you achieve that?
Sure. So, in all the process, we still have to submit for design approval, and making the house fit within the neighborhood context is really important for planning approval and to make that go seamlessly. So we part of the evolution of the craftsman style was to keep the two stories, minimized visually, because this is still predominantly a single family, one-story neighborhood. So by adding the second story within the sort of underneath the roof, kind of visually kept it within the same context of the rest of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think you did a great job there looking at it, and I just can't wait to see it built, because I think it's going to look great in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
and then when you're designing with the Passive House in mind, right, we have to meet the certification, the testing to reach that goal. What things did you have to keep in mind for this project?
So for this project, it was an interesting hybrid where we're taking down an existing home, and I really did try to look at how much of that existing home can we save and reuse. And because these homes were built sort of fast and relatively cheaply, there wasn't a whole lot that we could save, but we saved a good portion of the existing foundation and the floor framing, which, it was, if you look at the embodied carbon impact that has, it's a pretty significant portion of the embodied carbon. So I was, pleased that we were actually able to make that work, because it doesn't always happen in every project.
And the foundation appears sound, and I think it's saving us some money as well, which is great. So with this project, how did you tie in the Passive House details, as well as giving the owners what they needed functionally and space-wise and architectural style-wise? What did you have to pay attention to for Passive House?
So for this project, it's not, in terms of Passive House, the orientation in the front of the house is to the west, which is really a little challenging from the shading and the overheating perspective. And our south is to the neighbors on the side yard. So really making sure that we didn't have too much heat gain from the west. And fortunately, we've got lovely big trees on that western side on the street frontage, which was really beneficial.
Oh yeah, for that late day sun.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It's
that's
the
key,
afternoon sun really is difficult
Yeah.
for Passive House in California. But even the back side of the house, where we have a nice big sliding door out to the backyard, I was able to set that back under a covered porch. And that also really helped our Passive House numbers, because even the morning sun, you get all of that heat into the house. That actually can be not great in a Passive House.
Good. Yeah, I didn't realize that was part of the design. I mean, I'd seen the porch and set back, but now that you explain it, it makes a lot of sense. So, and that's a key thing about working with an architect that is experienced with Passive House, because I've learned those things. So yeah, great detail. Well, thanks for that introduction about this house. Keep following along in the Sacramento Passive House, and we'll bring you some more videos from Good Space as we continue with this journey.